My life isn't all about video games. I'd like to think that I'm fairly cultured. That's why today I'm going to show you my collection of books. Video game related books. Okay, maybe my life is all about video games. Anyway, first up is the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas City Guides. This little book is also the manual for the game, and it came with a PC version. I like how it is designed as a tourist guide and has a lot of in-game ads, so to speak, in it. Next up, the Mega Man 25 years anniversary art book. Capcom can't seem to make a Mega Man game these days, but they sure can make merchandise. This is an amazing art book for Mega Man fans though. It has art from almost every Mega Man game in existence, and some art made by outsiders too. A funny thing I noticed, on every game featured, series creator Keiji Inafune has something to note, and with Super Adventure Rockman, an odd FMV type game with drag the cursor shooting boss battles, he apologizes for the game, as it was made without his supervision. I feel I have to play the game now. Next, the Duke Nukem Forever Balls of Steel Limited Edition Guidebook.
Come get some.
Kind of like with the San Andreas book, this has two uses to it. First off, it's a game guide to Duke Nukem Forever, with detailed information, maps and more. The second part is an art book. I had the one that came with the special edition of the game, but I sold it when I bought this, because the art section in this book is expanded. Plus it's full-sized and just looks a lot nicer. I have the complete Worlds of Power novel collection, which consists of 10 books, 2 of which are in the so-called Junior series. Why it's called that I don't know, since all of the books are aimed at kids anyway. So much so that they felt the need to airbrush the gun out of Snake's hand for Metal Gear, the kunai out of Ryu's hand for Ninja Gaiden, the gun out of the Bionic Commando guy's hand, and even weirder, they shortened Simon Belmont's whip and made the Wizards and Warriors guy's loincloth wider. Also, I note that the first 5 books have these bumpy titles to them, but then they stopped doing it for whatever reason. If you've been following my channel, you're familiar with the Mega Man 2 book, that I made into a 12-part animated video series. Lastly, why did they do a book on Bases Loaded? It's just baseball. Anyway, next up is the Game Genie Code Book. This book came with the Game Genie, and this particular one is for NES games by the way. I remember having a thicker one when I was a kid though, but it fell apart with use and I guess I threw it away. I usually use the internet when I want to find a code, but this is still fun to have. Next, the Capcom Characters Encyclopedia. I've lost almost all respect for Capcom nowadays, but this book reminds me why I used to think that they were the next best game company after Nintendo. I don't know if this has all of them, but there sure are a lot of Capcom created characters in here. Even I make an appearance. Next, Hyrule Historia. The hype around Hyrule Historia was pretty big before it came out in English, because it had what Legend of Zelda fans had been theorizing for years, an official Zelda timeline. But besides that, it's a great chronicle of the Zelda legacy. It's slightly disappointing though that almost half of it is basically a Skyward Sword art book. I'm not really complaining, but I was more interested in the earlier Zelda games than Skyward Sword. At the back is a short Zelda manga, which I don't care for, but it's nice for those who like manga. Next up, a book I put together myself, Resident Evil Files. Alright, so maybe this isn't really a book, but I did put it together. It's a collection of all the files from all Resident Evil games, from the first up to Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 5 hadn't come out yet when I made this. I categorized the files, put in some pictures, and even mixed up the fonts so some look like they've been scribbled by hand and some look like they came from typewriters. I also put in transcriptions of Wesker's Report 2, originally only on Capcom's Japanese site, but since fan-translated. Not by me though. It is apparent that this is homemade, because first I put the page numbers along the edges, then switched to having them near the middle. Well, honestly, I'm just happy that they go in order at all. This actually isn't video game related, but I also have Oz Behind These Walls, which is based on my favorite TV show of all time, Oz. This book is written from the perspective of the wheelchair-bound inmate Augustus Hill, written like a diary, and the book even shows up in the actual show at one point. Anyway, that is my book collection. I don't particularly enjoy reading normal books, and I could probably count the amount of normal books I've ever read on my two hands, but I'm open for video game related books like these.